What's going on, everybody? This is Moose at CFB_Moose on Twitter. Brian at Brian Jester FF on Twitter. We're both here, co-founders from OccupyFantasy.com at OccupyFantasy on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, the whole 9 yards. You name it, we're on it. Brian, I haven't been here in a while. It's definitely been a while since I've been on one of these streams, but preseason's coming up, and I had to hop back on for this.
It's good to have you back. Believe me, I've been trying to do these streams myself, and they have been so poorly run and held together by duct tape and sticks. So I'm glad you're back to run that side of things. I'm also glad to back to talk to you about some football.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're trying something new. We have both Twitter. I guess somehow Periscope still lets you live stream. I don't know. I thought that ended last year, but so we're on Periscope. We're on YouTube. If you're watching this here on Twitter, make sure you click the tweet that shows up. It'll bring you to a new page. You can go ahead and type in the chat. I see Joe's already in there. What's up, Joe? If you're on YouTube, make sure you go ahead and hit the chat button, like, subscribe, all that jazz. We're gonna be here for about 30 minutes or so, just chopping up about the NFL preseason game, Hall of Fame game that's coming on. We talked to a bunch of beat writers. We listened to team reports. We did everything we can. We found some nuggets. And Brian, I have a really optimistic view on tonight's slate.
Yeah, me too. Super pumped. NFL Preseason DFS is our most profitable time of the year. We do incredible research. One, there's not a lot of content out there. More and more content is coming out there, but we know our content is thorough. And I can say that not only are our preseason notes and our rankings pretty spot on, but no one else has the lineup construction notes that we put in our daily plug. So I encourage everyone to go check that out as you're watching the show, OccupyFantasy.com. And if you hear me typing, you hear Moose typing, it's because we're literally updating this live. Our team, Chris, Lucas, behind the scenes, they're working the beat writers and the news lines. They're updating the daily plug live as we speak, and we've already gotten a couple updates so far. So that's going to continue to roll in probably in the next 15 to 30 minutes or so. That'll be finalized because Moose, there are a couple things that are changing as differently than what we expected earlier in the day.
Absolutely. And Eagle says your sound is very low. I think mine's fine. Brian says you're a little low. Can you just move your mic a little bit closer to your mouth so you're a little bit?
How's that sound, guys? If we can get a mic check in the chat.
I don't know. You're just so soft. You're just so anticipated to 150 max preseason, and even better, I think, is probably the in-game second half and fourth quarter showdown. So that's a sneak peek right there.
Yeah, I know. Everyone in the chat says you're good, but I'm not good. So I don't know if you can turn my mic volume up. I can't on my side.
Let me see. All right, let me see here. All right, I have you at 200% in Discord and 100% in here, so should be good now.
Okay.
Cool. So again, we are here live on Periscope and YouTube. I believe Periscope actually starts you off as muted, so that's dumb. So if you're on Periscope, you might have to unclick the button. Totally not the FBI says, yo, what happened to the Discord? It just disappeared. Email us, we'll get you right back in, no problem.
Sure.
Yep. Cool. So we're all set. So Brian, I do want to point out there's one thing that that's pretty well known, but I do just want to get this off is playing defenses, especially in low risk during these Hall of Fame games. So if you just want to touch on that for a couple of seconds.
Yeah, for sure. So again, if you guys can't hear me, just let us know in the chat. And Moose, I don't know if you can type into the Periscope chat to let people know to unmute it. Maybe that's why. But yeah. So if you read anything so far this week, I think most people, there are a couple sites out there that don't know this. So I don't think we're giving away too much here. But in the Hall of Fame game, because one, we have a lot of backups playing. We have not a ton of training camp and practice time. Hall of Fame games are generally lower scoring. They're sloppier. As a result, we see the defenses as the top plays in Hall of Fame preseason DFS, both low risk and high risk lineups. And we charted the last 5 or 6 Hall of Fame games dating back to 2014. And if you look, 80% of optimal lineups featured at least one defense. 40% of optimal lineups featured 2 defenses. And really most the crazy thing to me was that they have both a floor and a ceiling.
Yeah.
A defense in the Hall of Fame game has a 60% chance of scoring at least 5 DraftKings points. they have a 40% chance of scoring 10 plus DraftKings points. Both those numbers are significantly higher than every other position on a Hall of Fame slate. So no matter which type of contest you're playing, maybe if you're trying to get different in the really big GPPs, but most contest types start your lineup with at least one defense.
Yeah, and you know, as simple put, it's the only person in the player pool that's going to be playing the entire game. So you might have a lot
That's
of
also
opportunity.
true.
Exactly.
That's also true.
Yeah. So and then as you touched on, another briefly mentioned is, you know, you talked about our lineup construction rules. It's not really in a lot of other content. We have a lot of how to build your lineups correctly, and so what's going to happen is we're going to get rid of our pretty faces here. We're going to switch over to the Occupy Fantasy lineup builder, and we're just going to play around with that, Brian, if you're cool with all that.
Yeah, I'm cool with that for sure. Let's do that, and we can talk about some of the updates there.
Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and do a magic transition. Let's hope this works. Boom. We're good. So do you want to, I'm guessing we want to start on DraftKings, right?
Yeah, let's start on DraftKings, and we could just talk about some different things there. And again, if you guys have questions, you guys can drive the show, ask questions. Most of the questions can be answered in the daily plug. If you have any specific questions, go ahead and ask them here.
Definitely. Now, off the bat, you know, this is our lineup builder at OccupyFantasy.com. One of the first things you'll notice is that everyone has the same OF index. The OF index is our proprietary metric, which usually for our Occupy models, but for preseason, we're making it a little bit different. So, Brian, if you want to go ahead and explain that really quick.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard enough to find playing time for these guys. It's basically an impossible task to project fantasy points for these players. Really, our goal of the lineup builder is for those of you who want to build, 15, 20, 150 lineups for FanDuel or DraftKings, to be able to get the right player pool. You set your own exposures to get the players right, set your own rules, but really just get the player pool right. So every player that is listed in our daily plug is a top play. There's a handful of them. That'll be updated live automatically in the daily plug, and it'll move over to the lineup builder as well. So everybody with a $sign or a dice symbol are top plays in the daily plug, and that's updated within seconds or minutes after the daily plug is updated. So you can add all those players to your player pool, and you automatically have our top plays at your disposal to use as your player pool for your 20, 150 lineups. Or, Moose, you could use a single builder mode to build one or a couple lineups and see our optimal lineup criteria that way.
Yeah, exactly. There's definitely multiple ways you can do that. Jared over on Periscope says, quarterback to play tonight. Brian, how do you want to answer this question?
Yeah, so we're still trying to get word on the Cowboys situation. And I think, quarterback playing time is the most readily available information. And what we learned all week is being contradicted on the Dallas side. So we're still trying to get confirmation there. The one thing we do know is Pittsburgh side. Mason Rudolph's going to start the game. He'll probably play a quarter, somewhere in that range. Dwayne Haskins is the guy you want. And I think most people know this. Most sites know this. Haskins should be the highest owned quarterback on the field tonight. He's going to get run in the second quarter, close out the first half, start the third quarter, and undetermined from there. But he'll get the most playing time likely of any quarterback tonight. So Dwayne Haskins is the quarterback that you want to put in your lineups tonight. We're still trying to get word on Dallas side if any of those three quarterbacks stick out. Because most of the starters, Ben Roethlisberger, Dak Prescott, obviously will not be playing tonight.
Yeah, and they'll still probably be like 3% owned in the big GPPs.
Right.
Definitely. Pats Caps Red over on YouTube says, do you think one less preseason week will make a difference in playing time in tonight's game or in week 1?
Yeah, that's a really good question too. I think the nice thing about the Hall of Fame game is this ends up being a typical preseason schedule for these two teams, right? Normally you get 4 games. These two teams in particular still get 4 games this year. So I think playing time trends will pan out as we've seen in the past for these two coaches, just because it's similar to what we've seen. The schedule is similar to what we've seen. Now, next week, the real preseason week 1, that's where we have to read between the lines a little bit more. I'm not sure we can rely on trends as much next week, unless we get some notes that kind of line up with the trends.
Definitely, yeah. What's up, Carl? Glad to have you here. He says, huzzah, it is I, Carl. Brian, so I know you have the pages up, so if any questions I missed, definitely go ahead and ask or bring them up. Mr. Miyagi says, what's your thoughts on playing both Dobbs and Haskins?
I could see it. I could definitely see it. Dobbs is going to get at least the fourth quarter. But that's kind of the expected playing time for every quarterback in this game. Rudolph's going to get a quarter. Garrett Gilbert's going to get roughly a quarter. DiNucci and Rush, we're still trying to figure out. Dobbs, I think for the highest risk contest, big tournaments, maybe he gets it done in a quarter of worth of work. But, for most contest types, I think just Haskins is the answer from that side.
Cool. Awesome. So I know we talked about bringing up the lineup builder and showcasing it. How do you want to handle this? Like, I'll kind of let you speak your knowledge because you're a professional 150 maxer. You are very good at it. You crush preseason. I mean, a lot of us do as well. But kind of take me through what your thought process would be on what you want to show everyone tonight.
Yeah, we do have a question in Periscope. I'm blind, so I can't read the name, so sorry about that. But the question is thoughts on Najee Harris. And if you read our plug, you'll know that we're not high on Najee Harris. And I think the reasoning here is I've gotten a couple questions about Najee Harris in our Discord channel, which, by the way, if you're not a member, octopifantasy.com/Discord, definitely join because we're talking about the slate leading up to lock, and we're also going to be talking about the second half and fourth quarter slates during halftime, so make sure you're in there for that news. But, yeah, I got a couple questions about Najee Harris. And Mike Tomlin said he's going to prepare for a full workload or prepare as if he's getting the full workload, starter treatment. And I think that confused a lot of people about Najee Harris. Really what he's saying is he wants him to prepare as a starter because in the regular season he's going to be the starter. They drafted him in the first round. He's going to be the starter running back. They want him to prepare as a starter every single preseason game. If that's the case, he's going to get starter treatment in this game, even if he is a rookie. He did suit up. We have confirmation that he suited up. He's not going to play more than a series or two at most, absolute most, probably just a series. If we look at Mike Tomlin's historical trends, the starting running back normally doesn't play more than 8 to 10 snaps. So I think that's the highest expectation for Najee Harris. Probably not even going to get that many. So let other people play Najee Harris tonight. Don't put him in your lineups.
Definitely. I actually wanted to ask you a quick question here. We're talking about the lineup builder, and people might be 20 maxing, 150 maxing, and we talked about the defenses some. I know you said it's almost like you want to lock button them in, do a custom rule, min one defense in a lineup. But if we're talking about someone who's mass multi-entering, what kind of allocation would you do? Would you lock a defense in if you're 20 maxing or even 150 maxing?
I think the safest thing is min one defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Min one defense. I wouldn't lock any particular defense, but make a custom rule. Min one defense in every lineup. You're probably safe. I do have a handful of lineups that don't have a defense tonight because, again, we have seen a Hall of Fame game where both defenses scored 3 fantasy points and it didn't end up in the optimal lineup. And I guess that's always possible. But I think for most people, most contest sizes, start your lineup with a defense. In the flex spots on DraftKings, if you're playing really small contests or low-risk contests, you can captain them. They do have the highest expectation, but again, they're going to be some of the highest owned captains as well because people know this.
Yeah, and you got to move your mic closer to your mouth, man. It's just getting softer and softer throughout the stream.
I guess the mic itself is just slowly sliding. Okay.
Yeah. And that kind of answers Jared's question over on Periscope to play both defenses. Yeah, in low risk, I can absolutely see it. In high risk, if you're multi-entering, you can make the case for that, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Cool. And let me see here. I'm just reading our staff chat, and Chris and Lucas are talking about the Dallas quarterback situation. I'll tell you what we know right now, Moose. Okay. And if you guys have questions, we could try to answer them. We're still trying to get clarification from the Dallas beat reporters who really haven't done their job all week. What we know with Mike McCarthy, his quarterback 2 on the preseason week 1 depth chart generally plays the most snaps, around 40%. In 2018, when McCarthy was with Green Bay, his quarterback 2 played 40% of the snaps. 2017, when he was with Green Bay, his quarterback 2 played 41% of the snaps in preseason week 1. The quarterback 1, which is Garrett Gilbert tonight, quarterback 2, which apparently is Cooper Rush. We're still trying to get confirmation, even though the depth chart said something else. And the quarterback 3 is Ben DiNucci. In 2017-2018, when McCarthy was head coach at Green Bay, the starter fluctuated between 15 to 25%, 15 to 30%. And the quarterback 3 just got the inverse of that, right? So if the starter played 15%, quarterback 3 got 30%. If it was 30%, the quarterback 3 got 15%. So what we can take away from that, whoever the quarterback 2 is, and it sounds like it's Cooper Rush right now, would get 40% of the snaps. That would make him the second best quarterback option on the slate. Again, we're really trying to get confirmation on this, and we have 45 minutes until lock. So stay tuned.
Yeah, and we have our whole team on it, and just to show you why we succeed in preseason is, we do have NBA writers, MLB writers, and stuff. all that goes out the window. And then once preseason comes, we have our whole team on preseason, whether that's scouring Twitter, following beat writers, going to training camps themselves, which I've had to do a couple times, but we get the information that needs to be found, so we're scouring as much as we can.
And just real quick, Muslim, this Cowboys situation is pretty important. Okay. We only had one note about Cooper Rush being the quarterback too. Every other note we've read this week, and even just another one just now, says DiNucci as the second quarterback. I don't know, man. I'm leaning towards trusting that. I'm really leaning towards trusting that. And it's not like he's not going to play. Like, worst case scenario, he plays the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
I think our team, at least reading what Chris and Lucas are telling us right now, we're still leaning towards DiNucci as the quarterback too and getting 40% of the snaps for Dallas. A little riskier in low risk contests, but I think if you're playing high risk contests, I would continue to keep that as is.
Yeah. I mean that's again, we always talk about uncertainty and chaos, and that could be the chaos that we want. A rogue tweet that throws everyone off says that he's not going to play as much as everyone thought he is, and he does, because the beat reporter was wrong. As we talked about earlier in the show, the beat writers haven't really been doing their job, so it's kind of up to us to force the information out of them. And so let's hope that DiNucci rocks.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Definitely. Cool. So we talked about if you're mass multi-injuring, the custom rule min one defense in your lineups. How else would you kind of play this? Because there's a handful of wide receivers, tight ends that we have in our plug that are considered a high risk captain. Kind of how are you spreading your allocation between them? Are you kind of doing like a flat range, or is there certain players that you go higher than others? What's your strategy there?
Yeah, I'm mostly going the flat range in my multi-entry lineups. Here's one thing I'll say. I'm not going to give away too much information from the plug, but I will say, as we've seen in previous Hall of Fame games, even the highest owned wide receivers, which don't even get that highly owned, like 20-25%, the most captain ownership you'll see from them, FanDuel and DraftKings, is like 3%.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's so many to choose from. People can't figure out who's going to play. The easiest thing to figure out is defenses and quarterbacks. As a result, they get the most captain ownership when we know, historically, wide receivers and tight ends generally are the highest scorers, or the optimal captain. So for me, I'm playing a bunch of wide receivers and tight ends, trying to get spread out ownership, because we're going to be, if you play one, you're going to be leveraged over the field, whoever it is. And we do have another question about Dwayne Haskins. Yeah, just to confirm, he has the most confirmed solid playing time expectation. Coming in sometime first quarter, second quarter, staying through halftime, playing third quarter. He's the best quarterback option on the slate.
Cool. And then if you're playing someone like Haskins, and we talk about this in the regular season a lot. Actually, before I say it, again, we have some people in here, so we're from Occupy Fantasy. Just wanted to point that out again. If you have questions about the upcoming game tonight, definitely go ahead and ask high-level questions, whatever you want. We have the Occupy Fantasy daily plug at occupyfantasy.com. We also have our Discord server, which is absolutely fantastic. We're going to be doing a lot of in-game analysis for the second half and fourth quarter slates as well. So you definitely want to go ahead and check that out. Membership starts as low as $7 per week, with all that included. So as we talked about, as I was going to say, you're playing Haskins. He gets the most playing time. And normally in a regular season, we want to do stacking. Stacking is king. Correlation is king. How much do we want to do that in a game like this, Brian?
Yeah, so we've actually turned off the stacking feature in the lineup builder, because if you listen to our $1 Million Missions, you listen to our daily plugs in the regular season, you know that game stacking is super important. But because in preseason DFS, playing time is so fractured, right? So many different guys can play in and out. The game stacking is not a thing. Really, all you have to do is pair one pass catcher with your quarterback. This holds true for the classic slates, which we'll see next week when we have multiple games on a slate. All you have to do is pair one pass catcher with a quarterback. That's all you need to do. And then tonight, we've seen historically winning lineups. Whichever quarterback you play, they've had a teammate played with them. So last year, we saw Kurt Benkert play a ton of snaps for Atlanta. Christian Blake was the optimal receiver. They played together. Tonight, if you play Haskins in your flex or captain spot, you will want one of our top receiver or tight end plays from Pittsburgh in your lineup with Haskins.
Definitely. Zachary Smith over on Periscope says, what captain has been the most successful in preseason football? That's a great question.
Yeah, great question, Zach. Again, check the daily plug. We have exact numbers on this, but wide receiver and tight ends even are the most successful captains and MVPs. But again, check our daily plug if you have access. If you don't, occupyfantasy.com. We have specific numbers and percentages for each position tonight.
Yep. Cool. And so, what are some other things we talk about? I have. For those who can't see me, I'm old school. I literally have a pen and pad. Like I just have like a whole like 3 pages worth of notes on here. That's what works for me. Might not work for you. Doesn't work for everyone. And so, what else do you want to talk about? I know, like just throwing it out there. Wide receivers gives you a lot of leverage in captain. We're not talking about. That's just like in the super high risk. There's a lot of like 100-player satellites that I've seen on DraftKings. There's some contests over on FanDuel for some good satellites tickets. How are you attacking those 100 to 200 player leagues? Are you throwing just like maybe one high risk player in and jamming low risk?
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty much playing the highest expectation plays, and we do have 3 or 4 listed in our plug, our favorite plays. And for 100 players or less, I'm playing 1, maybe 2 low-owned players if it's a really sharp contest, high dollar or whatever it may be. But I think all you have to do is get different at captain, or play 1, maybe 2 different flex plays from our high risk section, and you're fine. You're fine because we're going to see people play really high owned captains. Defenses are going to get jammed. People mostly play running backs in those smaller contests. I think you can get away with some wide receivers, and that's how you get your differentiation tonight.
Nice. And then Mike from Periscope says, which tight end from either side is the safest to captain?
Tight end and safety is not not a combo frequently used in preseason, but I will say Pittsburgh has depth chart issues, injury issues. We just got word that Pat Freiermuth, definitely butchered that name, rookie tight end for Pittsburgh, he's out. Eric Ebron's already out. They waived another tight end earlier in the week, so we got 2 guys we really like from Pittsburgh's side. Read our plug to find out which ones, but a Pittsburgh tight end would be the side I would choose for quote-unquote safest at the position.
Yeah. And speaking about people being out, Brian, in the big DraftKings GPP, what percent of lineups do you think are going to be dead because they have injured players in them? Probably 5%, 10%?
Yeah, 5, maybe 10. 5, maybe 10.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah,
yes.
so I'm just giving you guys live updates here. I'm talking with Chris. Another Cowboys writer says he thinks DiNucci has the edge for the 3rd quarterback spot on the whole depth chart. That includes Dak Prescott, which means DiNucci would be the quarterback 2 in this game, and that lines up with everything else we've read this year. So we're updating the plug now. We're rolling with DiNucci as quarterback 2 and the quarterback to play from Dallas.
DiNucci season. Let's go.
DiNucci. Gotta play him.
Yeah, I added his emoji to our Occupy staff chat, and once he crushes and throws for 3 touchdowns, I'm adding him as an emoji in the Discord too. So everyone can just spam his face in Discord when we're done with this.
Please do that.
Definitely. So we have 7 minutes left, probably about 5 minutes or so before we start to close out. I do kind of want to show some actionable information from the lineup builder that we have here. So I know we talked about custom rules. For everyone who's not sure about what our lineup builder is, we do have a custom rules section where you can add your own custom rules. And for example, this one we're going to do min one of DST, and that's literally just a minimum 1 of custom players. If I can actually select it. And so, come on, there we go. So we're going to do Steelers, flex, and I'm guessing you would want to include captain in there as well.
Yeah, if you choose to use them in your player pool, and again, this depends on what contest size you're in. But yeah, I would. And I normally do it anyways, just to be safe in case I later decide I want to add them as a captain. Then this rule captures it all.
Exactly. Yeah. So, so what's another actionable rule that you think we could recommend to our viewers tonight?
I do want to a point about that because I got a couple questions about this in our Discord channel. Because if you think regular season moves, right, you're like, I don't want to play my quarterback against my defense, my running back against my defense, and that's very logical. In preseason, that goes out the window. Don't worry about defense versus opposing running backs, defense versus opposing pass catchers, defense versus opposing quarterbacks. Hall of Fame game especially. Quarterbacks play so little time. Defenses can get turnovers from other quarterbacks that play. Mm-hmm. It's a low-scoring game overall, fantasy and real life. So if you captain a Cowboys defense, don't worry about playing Haskins in your flex. That's fine, totally fine. Vice versa. So just keep that in mind.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Again, I think the total's gone down now even more. I think last time I checked, it was like 32.5. So expect according to Vegas, low-scoring defense can still succeed you only need a couple touchdowns from your quarterback to go through, or a quarterback to go through.
Yeah, exactly. So moves back to your point about another rule I would make. We talked about it about the quarterbacks. Every single Hall of Fame game, a quarterback is in the optimal, FanDuel and DraftKings. But we never seen more than 2. So I would make 2 separate rules, and I did make 2 separate rules for my own lineups. Minimum 1 of the 6 quarterbacks in the game, a maximum of 2 of the 6 quarterbacks in the game. So if you're hand building lineups out there, using lineup builder or whatever it may be, have at least 1 quarterback in every lineup you make tonight, especially for tournaments and satellites. But don't have more than 2. It's really hard for more than 2 quarterbacks in a preseason game because of split playing time to get into the optimal lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. So just putting that in there now, if I can actually type correctly. Yeah, and you guys get the idea. Cool.
So it's 7:25, Moose. While you're doing that, we're here for 5 more minutes. I think the plug has its final update. We pretty much know who's going to play, who's not going to play. The only other pregame note that we got is Anthony McFarland is suited up. He was questionable. We weren't sure if he was going to play, but he'll play. I think we moved him up the rankings a little bit. So yeah.
Cool. So we just gave you all a little secret there about our lineup builder. You definitely start out with some of these rules. And we're here again for just a couple more minutes or so. If you have questions, go ahead and ask. If you're on Periscope, click the little heart. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Go ahead and follow us on Instagram too. We just started doing some reels and some stuff on there, trying that out as well. And again, if you have questions after this, make sure you're subscribed to our Discord. If you're a member and you don't have access to our Discord, go ahead and email us and we'll get you access. Cool. So for the last minute or so, Brian, what do you want to talk about?
Again, Hall of Fame is very, very unique in lineup construction, and we have all the rules in place. I'm very proud of our daily plug we put out today. I mean, it couldn't go much easier. We usually get a lot of questions from our members in the past. How many guys do I use from this section? How many? We really tried to lay it out as much as we could in as much detail. And the members who've read it so far seem to really like the new format. So go check it out. Literally, all you have to do is read the top plays, read how to build lineups. If you want more information, we have all playing time expectations and notes and links to tweets and articles at the end of the article. So you can read all you want. But if you just want quick lineups built, check out the daily plug. And you can read the top sections.
Absolutely, yep. And for the last minute before we say goodbye, I'm going to bring back our pretty faces. If I can do that right on time. Boom, that actually worked a lot better than I expected.
That's why we got you back, Moose, because I literally could never do that myself.
Yeah, so as Austin pointed out, the plug is amazing. Yeah, we've gotten a lot of positive feedback from the plug this time around. Eagle says thanks for everything. Totally not the FBI says, where's the 333 satellite? Gotta wait for week 1 for that.
Yeah, man, they're saving you from your own bankroll, Ed. They don't want you wasting on those in the preseason yet.
Definitely, and he actually just became a member, which I didn't even know that was a thing. So the zombie that popped up, I had no idea that was even configured. But hey, we're out here. Let's go. Any last closing thoughts, Brian, before I take us out of here?
No, just keep updating the plug. Keep updating the plug. Keep refreshing. I think the final update's been made, but hell, it's preseason. You never know. So keep the updates fresh. At the top of the plug, we have Moose. If you want us to just scroll down a little bit,
yeah,
we can show people what the blue updates look like. We're time stamping them, and you can see. If you just refresh the page, Moose, and you'll see it real quick. We'll show people the updates look like, just so you know, because we're time stamping them as they come in. So
perfect.
See what updates are being made.
Cool. And then also, last thing I do want to point out, if you are successful, definitely go ahead using our stuff. Take a screenshot, send it to us on Twitter. We're doing monthly giveaways for a $100 GPP every month. So if you win, I believe it's $500 or 5x your entries, go ahead and send that screenshot to us on Twitter.
Yes, free chance. I know you already won money, but why not have a chance at a $100 GPP entry? So
exactly, yeah. So all right, awesome. So until next time, guys, Moose, Brian from Occupy Fantasy, have a good night.